Two, one.
Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of Nah But For Real. We're besties who heal together, keep it real together. I'm your co-host Jay. This is your co-host Ali, and we're so happy to have you here with us. If you are not doing so already, make sure that you're following us on all of our social media platforms at nbfr podcast. Make sure you're leaving reviews on our podcast and on our YouTube videos, and make sure that you're subscribed so you can get notified every time we host every single week. So, now without further ado, let's get into an icebreaker as we do every single week. And today's icebreaker is, what is a responsibility that you have taken on that you felt like you weren't ready for? Like, didn't ask for this, but for some reason I'm being given, it's an avocado. Thanks. That's the energy it's giving. What have you been gifted or received in terms of responsibility, Allie, that you were like, avocado?
Okay. So, Louis.
Ah!
Louis is for sure and Louis is actually, I don't want to go too much into details, but he's a pet. If you're on my social media, you already know who Louis is. And my husband actually took him in before I even moved out here to California. I remember him calling me. He was like, "Oh my goodness, he's so cute. Look at him. Look at him. He's so cute. Can we get him? Can we have him?" I said, "No," like straight up, just no. I was like, "No, we said we are gonna get the dog, and I'm not even there yet. Like, I haven't even seen the apartment. So why would you get a pet and like just wait?" Because that's in the process of me moving to California. And he's upset. We get off the phone. Later on, I get on the phone with him, and he has this pet in the house, and it's just like running around and doing what it do. And I was like, "Wow, so you got him anyway?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm just so lonely. I need a pet. I need someone to love on, and this and that." And to me, this pet is not something you can domesticate. To the point where it's like you can, like, maybe you can train it or whatever, but it's very difficult. I hear that it's one of the higher level of training animals. Like, you can, but it's just really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would definitely say Louis. I love him. I love him. It's like that unexpected kid that you get that's like thrown onto you out of nowhere, and you're just like, "Great, okay, I got a kid. You're kind of cute. I kind of love you, but no, I didn't ask for this." So yeah, I
Right.
would say that's a huge responsibility that I took on that I did not put myself into, and that I feel like I was not ready for.
Mm, that's a good one. I don't know why I didn't expect that when I knew that that was you were not expecting Louis at all. I don't know. I didn't think about that. Okay, so a responsibility dark turn that was like lightweight and cute. Dark turn, sorry. Uh a responsibility that I was definitely not ready for was the financial responsibilities I had to take on so young after my mom passed away. Like, before she passed away, I was 17 when she passed away. So before she passed away, at 17, max you see in your account $300 maybe, and that's not, you don't really ball out when you're 17. You see, like I said, max $300, and then being told like all of her assets now, but well, half, of course, I have a sibling. Half of all of this person's assets that you've never heard about, because parents don't involve you in their financial dispositions when you're growing up. As I don't believe it's appropriate. It's one thing to teach you, but that's a lot of burden to put on a child, to tell them about what you are going through financially.
Hmm.
So that obviously was never her intention, to show us like, yeah, this is what I'm doing financially. Like, here's all my money. So, and I didn't think that was a part of the process. We talked about saving and things like that, but we never talked about, yeah, when I go away, you're gonna have to figure out how to handle this lump sum. And of course, they didn't think at 17 I would have to learn how to, be financially responsible. And how I would have used money now at 25, looking back, is nothing to how I honestly, compared to a lot of what I could have done, it wasn't like the worst. I bought a car. Like, that was very responsible of me. But it could have been different, in my opinion. I could have definitely spent it differently and definitely helped myself further in the future. So I don't even think that was okay for you to just be like, this is how much money you have. It's not like, because I wasn't 18, it's not as if I could see, like, have access like this, I'm going to pull it out, because I wasn't of age. But anytime I would ask for it, it would be granted to me, and they would tell me how much I have left. I don't know what that much money looks. I don't, if you tell a 3-year-old, like, this is $100,000, they're like, a quarter. It all looks the same to me. I lose count after 300. I don't really know what, that much money does. So because of that, it feels unlimited. And especially when you're grieving, that just was not a responsibility I was ready for. And I don't know if anybody's ever ready for that responsibility, even when you are 25. In times of grief, handling finances is not first thing on your list at all. It's not something you even want to talk about at all, because it's so stress inducing. It was very stress inducing for me. So talking about that, it just leads us to get into our point and our topic of the day, which is how your mental health, on the other hand, is very much so your responsibility. Unlike the things that we talked about, unlike Louis, this is very much so your responsibility. It is an intrinsic responsibility, meaning when you come on this earth, it is your responsibility from that point on to address your own mental health, and heal from, even if someone else is the reason behind the trauma that you experienced. That's one of one of the few things that is your responsibility as a human here on this earth, I believe. So talking about mental health, it's very taboo to talk about mental health in the Black community, as we've discussed on this show before. And as I know, most people know that we be on the hush hush in the Black community when it comes to our mental health needs and mental health concerns. But it seems as if that's kind of taken a turn in recent years, especially after the pandemic and with TikTok launching and things getting out, information being able to get out very quickly, and communities being formed around topics that are very taboo in the Black community. It's been very common to see now that we're talking about mental health a lot more, which is fantastic. Let's keep up the good work. Only upward trend, But with that, it seems as if there's a lot of finger pointing and blaming. We're playing the blame game. We're not really taking accountability because someone hurt our feelings or someone has traumatized us and it's resurfacing and we're trying to heal from it. And because of that, we're ready to point the finger. That's our automatic go-to. And I've seen a lot of that on my TikTok. I don't know if anybody else is like involved in mental health TikTok, but that's my game right now. You get on my TikTok, that's all you're gonna see. So with that, a lot of people are playing the blame game, and you don't see as much accountability. Now, I do understand the TikTok is for media purposes, for clicks, for watches, and obviously that's what gains traction. But we just want to make sure that that's not the direction that we're going in when it comes to healing and personal development. So, Allie, tell me about a personal experience of yours where you feel like your mental health journey finally took a turn and you realized that, oh, this has accountability. Like, this is my journey, not anybody else's.
I would say and maybe this is a trauma response. I've always held responsibility for my own mental health. Like, there wasn't a point where I really blamed. Like, I can say, yeah, this person did this to me. However, it was more of a self-blaming thing of, but I let it happen, or I let it go on, or I didn't speak up. I should have did this. I should have done that. So I would say for myself, it was more of a self-blaming type of thing. Oh, my earring just fell off. But it was more of a self-blaming type of thing. And I think that that's where it's almost like realizing that there's something going on with you and that something happened versus being accountable, for me, is two different things. And I say that because, yeah, for a very long time, I realized that, this was my responsibility. I'm the one who's supposed to be responsible for my own mind, because I'm the only one who can hear the thoughts in my head. So that's why it's my responsibility. I've always known that. But being accountable for it and actually taking action was very hard for me, which is where like that self-blaming came in. And I didn't know how to hold myself accountable to actually get the help that I needed until I was in college. And we were actually sitting down. It was this whole thing. I started to realize that a lot of people didn't recognize who I was, or they say they didn't know who I was, or they would say that, oh, like, you're different, you're changing. And kind of going back to like the episodes that we've done before, when we talk about losing ourselves and we talk about grieving who we were before, I would say that's when I started to realize that I was self-blaming a lot and I wasn't putting any action forward. So that's where that whole accountability of actually doing something came into play. And that's when I got into therapy for the first time.
Yeah. My response was very much the same.
Yeah.
I've never been to, that's why when I go on TikTok, it almost confuses me because I've never been that type of person that can point. But I do almost feel like I like gravitate, or people gravitate toward me. A lot of people who do that, because I am very quick to say it was my fault. And I've always been that way.
Yeah.
I'm very quick to say it's my fault. Not only is just that, I'm very solution oriented. It was my fault. I'm going to fix it right now. Like
Yeah.
that's it. And I understand that I've gained hyper independence over the years because, like you said, trauma. I've gained a sense of hyper independence. So when I see a problem come up, I almost do that because I don't want to let anybody else take, like, I don't trust anybody else to take that responsibility, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
if something is going on, even if somebody else's feelings is hurt, I feel like, okay, if I don't fix it right now, then it might trickle down. And that's, my brain is like, then I'm going to start feeling pity. So I'm just, right now, I'm going to nip it in the bud. I don't even know if I'm sorry at the point. I'm straight up. I don't even know when you're telling me about whatever I did to you or however something made you feel, whatever, instantly, I'm sorry. Instantly, that won't happen. I don't even have to fully understand. Like,
Mhm.
I'm getting a lot better at that now, but for the longest, it's fix it. Fix it. Jay's gonna fix it.
Yeah.
So with that, I've always been on the flip. But I can say that I personally didn't feel like that. That's not taking accountability. That's cleaning up a mess that you might not have even made. It's not accountability.
Yeah.
That's just cleaning up. I
Yeah.
didn't personally take accountability for my own personal traumas that I've experienced, honestly, until, I wouldn't just say with therapy, but honestly, I want to say it was during the pandemic when I started living by myself and finally was able to see my own actions, if that makes sense. I was able to take a look at myself for the first time without anybody else around and
Hmm.
sit in the silence and see how I react to different situations, and just realize that that's not normal. I don't think this is normal. I don't think that me blowing up to things that everybody else is like, what's the problem? It has to be something there, and it's something that's behind it. So that's when I started being able to have conversations with people that knew me very well, have conversations and open up about how I really feel. I never used to talk about how I felt. No one ever knew. It's just like, that's just Jay. She gonna go to the corner, she'll get over it. Like, literally in an hour, then I'm back to being cool. But that's when I finally was like, no, like, this hurts my feelings, or I don't like this, or this triggers me. And I might not know how to respond right now. One of my other best friends, we always talk about, like, Aries. We're gonna react, but we might not know how to respond at that moment. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I know you hurt my feelings. I don't know what, I'm gonna have to do some digging and I'll come back, but I know my feelings are hurt. So that's when I finally got to the point where I could say my feelings are hurt and I don't know why now. So I need my space to figure it out. And then from that point on, whether after that, it was like therapy, and I had my therapist help me with ways to figure it out, steps to take so that I can figure out what's wrong with me, and then come back to that conversation and say, this is what's wrong with me, versus I was just having a bad day. It's not your fault. Nothing's your fault. These are triggers of mine, and I have real trauma, and I would like for you to stay away from these triggers. And
Hmm.
setting those boundaries in place, that's taking accountability, is setting
Yeah.
boundaries for yourself and others. So, and that didn't happen until last year, honestly. For me, at least, it was always on hush, and I'm gonna keep it pushing. It was, like I said, tough love. Jay got it. It was always that until very recent. Now it's like, no,
Hmm.
y'all ain't about to tell me. I feel very strong with my boundaries now. Y'all are not about to come and step on them, okay? Now.
What it has me thinking about as you were talking about like people on social media as they they'll like it's easy for us to point the finger or to say, oh, this is what this person did to me. And to just keep saying, they did this to me, they did this to me, they did this to me, they did this to me. It's easy to say that and just to keep throwing it out there. And that, in my opinion, turns into like this victim mentality where
Mm-hmm.
it almost makes it where you're almost a victim in everything, where it's
Mm-hmm.
almost you do no wrong. So you have
Yeah.
to be really careful with that piece because, yeah, there might be trauma where somebody really did do something to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then there might be situations where you may have done something that triggered a reaction, and then that's why that person did that to you. However, you don't focus on the what you did part because
Mm-hmm.
it's this person did this to me. This person did this to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that victim mentality and being like really cautious about that,
Yeah.
that's what has me thinking.
I personally feel like that's honestly why I've always kind of shied away from that. That's also very practiced in the culture of my family. Like we're not, especially the women, you're not about to be a victim over here. Like you're not gonna hear it. It's like I did it and did, chest poked out, it's me because I've always kind of been on
I'm
the
the villain.
opposite. Right. I'm the villain. I'd much rather be the villain. I have always been that way. I never want to feel like someone had the upper hand on me. So it's like, you know what? I did it, just to get rid of it and I'll solve it. And,
Yeah.
and that's it. How about that? And and that really points that out to me. I've never been, even now to this day, never been okay with being the victim, but now I just know ways to set these boundaries and still be, now I'm superhero, not villain, puff my chest out and say, okay, I did this and you're not going to cross this. And I can apologize for this, but I will not apologize for this because I did not do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is, a lot of people do fall into that victim mentality, especially during early processes of healing, because that's when you start to learn trauma and realize that people might have done some really shitty stuff to you and it wasn't fair, but it's also not their responsibility to heal, to make you heal from that, from whatever they did to you. But talking about accountability and responsibility and personal growth and development, let's talk about this week, in the final week of the hashtag magic mind. What is it? Hashtag 14 days of magic challenge. I'm sorry. In this week's episode, this is about our first 7 days. I'm sorry, guys. And the week before that was more so about setting our goals. So we're on the 7th, the first week of Magic Minds. We're telling you about our first week and how that went down. So after your first week, Ali, how did Magic Mind drink? And actually, just how did your week go after the first, setting those goals for yourself, drinking the drink, and responding to what you said you were going to do for the first 7 days? How did you feel?
So I would say for this first week, I was like open and aware, more aware than before that,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I have a lot of stuff, a lot of things that need to be done. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
really procrastinating. Like I have a list of things to do. I have this, and this. And so I would say that that was definitely an eye opener. I started realizing how much actually does need to be done, have to happen from like
Mm-hmm.
my own mental health reasons or from what needs to be done with the house to what needs to be done with my health. So I would definitely say I started to notice that there was more. And there was also this creative boost. I did notice that my creativity was boosted a bit. Like I'm having images pop up in my mind again. And so it's reminding me of, oh, I like doing like TikTok videos because I like to create visuals. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see the visuals in my mind. Now, when it comes to actually doing it, no, I have not. I still have not actually put in action.
Yeah.
More of an observation week. It's more
Mm-hmm.
of me observing what it is that I haven't done in a long time. I would say that's definitely been activated. And then noticing just my environment. That's one thing I noticed this week was my environment means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like if my environment is chaotic, if it's cluttered, if if it don't smell good, if it it has to smell good. It can't smell stale. Like some people are like, okay, if it doesn't smell like anything, no, I want it to smell good. I want it to have a
Mm-hmm.
smell. Like
No, agreed.
I've noticed that. Like those little things actually help out with boosting my productivity and boosting my creativity. Because once I have like those surroundings around me, which kind of goes into my goals. Like my goals were like checking in with my senses, seeing what do I need, I did that. I think once this week. I lit my not lit. Well, yes, lit my incense. Lit
Mm-hmm.
my incense. I had my visuals, had it like nice and dimmed in here. Basically just activating all my senses. I had like a sound, a brown noise. I love brown noise. I had that going off in here. So I had my water. So every sense was being accommodated, and it helped me actually get a lot done when it came to work, like paperwork
Mm-hmm.
that had to be done that was due like yeah. So it really helped out with that. And then when it comes to like my journaling, I have done some journaling in the Wild Unknown Journal. I showed this last time. So
Mm-hmm.
I've done a couple of pages out of here. I actually ordered like this big thing of markers. So I've been doing some things in here as well as this actually. Healing through healing through words. I love going to Target and maybe having like the 30% off on some of the books. And so
Girl, same. I just got one.
it's the
Same.
best. And so this is actually Jay gave me a book a couple of years ago by this same author,
Mm-hmm.
Rupi. I don't know how to say the name, but they did the Milk and Honey book.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this book because I like the Milk and Honey book, and this is more of a journaling and like poetry. Like I can write poetry. It's just guided words, so it helps me to
Mm-hmm.
write my words down. Um, so I actually did that. I want to say I've done that 3 times this week out of this book,
Yeah.
and 2 times this week out of this book. So that's three, four, five. So 5 times out of 7, I've done something when it came to my mind, which was 0 at first. And then when it comes to my body, I still have struggled with getting up in the morning for the yoga, but I have been stretching every day. I've stretched every night. And that's actually when I find myself as I'm stretching and like leaning over, that's when I'm like also doing my poetry.
Yeah.
Like just leaned over and like writing at the same time. So yeah, I would say yeah, mind check, body check, soul check.
Period. That's what matters. So for mine, I'm gonna do my wins first, like I do in therapy. I'm gonna do what I did correctly. For as far as my mind, that was the easiest part for me. I was able to listen to my Duolingo Spanish lessons every day. And it also made me realize that I want to go backwards. Usually I just kind of listen to the lesson, but I'm like, in order to not only enjoy this but retain this, I'm gonna go back and listen just like you would a child if you were teaching them basic, English. If you were teaching them English and you were teaching them how to speak, you keep repeating the same thing. You keep listening to the same story. You keep, So I need that repetition. What I've been doing is just kind of going through each episode because I actually do enjoy the stories. But I'm like, Jay, go back and listen. Go back and listen all over. So that's what my goal is now for week 2 is actually listening to the same thing I just listened to for week 1. Did that every day. That was the easy part for me. I love podcasts, so that was easy. As far as my the goal that I set for my body was to go to the gym 3 times a week. Almost. I went to the gym I can say twice. I went to the gym once and then I worked out at home once. So I can say I went to the gym once and I worked out twice out of 3 times. So yeah, I did more than I did before. Like you said, it started out with 0 times. So making progress. And as far as my soul, woke up with the sun 3 times. And I remember because it was the first 3 days. Then after that, it was like, I'm tired. But it actually made me realize that I have a problem with I've always had a problem going to sleep, but I have a problem with scheduling my life. And I do realize that when I wake up early, and I think I mentioned this before, it's a slower day. You're able to move slower in the morning, and it's not as anxiety ridden. I'm not rushing, and when I'm not rushing, it makes everything go so much smoother. And I mentally know that, but like you said, putting that action behind it and breaking those habits, like waking up on time after you've been out with your friends kicking it at night, it's very difficult. So definitely finding strategies to kick that into drive. But other than that, I feel like I had a pretty decent first week. Magic Mind definitely helped with that in terms of waking up. That would be part of my routine of waking up in the morning. Like I told Ali before this, Magic Mind helped me with drinking something in the morning. And although that sounds crazy, like drinking something in the morning, I really mean that, because after I would finish up with Magic Mind, I would drink some water, and that kind of made my morning have some routine to it. So that helped me. Just having that routine in the morning actually helped more than, like you said, starting off at ground zero where I was rolling out the bed, throwing some clothes on and going to work. It helps. Okay, it helps. So as far as Magic Minds, Ali, did you notice an ingredient that may have helped the most in the Magic Mind
I want to say
formula?
it's the lion's mane. I would
Okay.
say the most for me was my creativity this week.
Okay.
That's because I'm seeing visuals more again than before.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say at first I was like very blah, but now I'm like having those visuals again.
Yeah. I can also probably agree with the creativity thing. Like I told you before, I was still at work, not being as productive, but I will say I was at work doing things I don't normally do at work. We have a game room at my job, and I was playing pinball, or it was a lot more that I was doing. I cooked every day last week, or
Hmm.
every day, every day for 7 days. I've cooked literally every single dinner, and I have not done that in forever. Not a leftover in sight, not an order Uber Eats. Every single night I cooked,
Oh
and for me,
wow.
that's sparking something creative, because I love to cook. I don't use recipe or anything, just making things up for my brain. Yeah. So I would agree. The Lions mane came in clutch and gave me that little, boost. So in terms of your overall experience with Magic Minds and for the first 7 days, how was that? How would you summarize it in one word?
In one word?
Let's do one word.
Okay. Ask me that question again. So whatever pops in my mind.
How would you summarize your entire experience this week in one word?
Creativity.
Okay.
That's the word that comes up for me. I would creativity.
Mine would probably be self-realization. Is
Ooh, I like
that
that.
a word? Hyphenated word.
I change
Okay.
it. I change it.
Okay.
Awareness.
Awareness. Okay. Okay. All right. So, other than that, we all know besties who heal together, keep it real together. So, let us tell you how you can participate in hashtag 14 Days of Magic, because it's not too late. And we're running a contest so that you can not only heal yourself, but heal your environment. So, first, what you're going to do is purchase a Magic Mind subscription using our discount code hashtag for real 14 to get 20% off of your purchase. After that, you're going to film your journey of committing to yourself through your mind, your body, your soul for the next 14 days, and go ahead and submit that content to the 14 Days of Magic link. That's going to be in all of our description boxes and in our bio. And on what is that? November 22nd, we're going to announce the winner of this contest based on consistency, creativity, and your impact. And the winner of this contest will receive 1 month free subscription of Magic Mind Drink. And most importantly, the winner of the contest and all of their views will make sure there will be matched in cash to help the Amazon Rainforest Restoration Project. So make sure that you're going ahead and hit that link in our bio so that you can join us on 14 Days of Magic, because it's not too late, y'all. It's not too late, okay? So with that, stay tuned so you can see the final results of our 14 Days of Magic journey right here on this channel, on this show. And talking about, accountability and choosing to take accountability of our own personal development, let's go ahead and, spin the block back and talk about personal development and taking accountability and taking responsibility. So back to what we were talking about in terms of responsibility. Sometimes, like me and Ellie said, the blame game is not the reason for accountability. We weren't playing the blame game. We're not blaming anybody, but sometimes the problem is you feel responsible for everybody else's crap. Okay. You feel like everybody else's emotions and everybody else's healing, you have some type of hand in, and you have to be responsible for their healing or for their whatever, for their outcome, or maybe for your outcome, or for everybody's outcome. You play a part in it. So what steps did you take so that maybe that's not happening as much, Allie, now that it used to happen? Maybe you feel like it has changed over the years. What steps have you taken so that you can prevent that feeling of feeling responsible for everybody else's stuff?
I would say identifying what my part of whatever it is, like what did I do? Like what's going on? How, when, where, what is it about me and what this person has going on? How am I connected? Like
Yeah.
identifying that connection. and then understanding it, like actually processing it to see how it's even related. Because yeah, I can see like somebody can say, "Oh, you did this," so okay, it's identified. That's what it is. However,
Mm-hmm.
now I have to actually understand my connection to whatever you did this is. So
Yeah.
identifying it, understanding it, and then owning it, take acknowledging it as my own. Like, okay, yeah, I definitely did that, and that's on me. And then that's it. Anything after
Yeah.
that, like I can't control how a person feels, or or that's outside of my what I can do. That's one of the
Mm.
biggest things for me is wanting to make people happy and wanting to please people. I'm like that's one of my struggles is people pleasing. And that's really something that's outside of my control. So just owning it up to seeing, identifying what does this person have going on? How am I connected to it? Understanding it and then owning it. And that's it.
Yeah. See, for me, I feel like it took more of understanding what my responsibilities were in my life. And for the longest time, and my therapist really helped me with this, I never noticed how much I had going on because I was so used to juggling so much. And I remember it was either my first or second session. She's like, what are you doing? Or like, just talk, in those first sessions, you're just kind of talking about your life or talking about things you've done, in fact, like kind of an interview type of situation. And I remember I started talking about Italy and talking about just my job at Uber and all of that. Just for me, it was like, yeah, and I'm going to work and I just started a new job and, just moved to Chicago and, got my best friend's baby shower's coming up and I've been hanging out with my other best friend. I've been watching her kid and she's like, did you do you bathe in between this? And to her making me realize like you got a lot of shit on your plate and you do not have any room on this plate for anybody else's shit, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Just prioritizing what I have left and the energy that I'm putting into myself really made a difference in setting those boundaries with people. Like I don't have any more space. And because I don't have any more space, I'm able to create this boundary. I know I'm not the reason for your problem because I wasn't involved at all. I've only been involved in my own shit. So
Mm-hmm.
just making sure that I'm focused on what involves me, honestly. And that's only light happiness. I don't deal with any drama. That's not what I come to therapy and talk about. When it came to my own life, I started realizing that the drama around me had nothing to do with me at all. This everything that was happening in my life was abundance, new job, new everything, increased, that everything was abundance and light and happiness, but I literally just overlooked it because it
Yeah.
got overshadowed by everybody else's stuff that I felt like was more important, and making my own life the main character, making me the main character of my life. That really helped me realizing that I'm not responsible for anybody else's story. I'm not responsible for anybody else's journey or
Mm-hmm.
anybody else's drama or trauma. And if it's an apology that is needed, we can have that conversation. But my boundary is that your drama will not. I won't take responsibility for what's going on in your life. Just
Yeah.
will not.
Period. Mm.
Period. So yeah, like I was talking about in terms of me apologizing, I will still apologize when someone says that my actions may have made them feel a certain type of way. And when I think about that, I always think about a quote that my dad always brings up to me. Always, always.
It
It's
sticks
my
with me.
favorite. And I'm gonna tell my little story. It's a little itty bitty story. Ali and I had what was that oral com together, and me being me, I get into it with a teacher, a professor every year, y'all. Like it's tradition for me to fight somebody in staff. But he assigned something, and everybody's voicing their concerns to me, like, Jay, this is just not right. The assignment, no one agreed with the assignment or the due date or something. So we're all in our group chat just going in on dude. And I'm like, I'm gonna be the one to say something, of course. So I reached out, sent a very professional email and told him, I didn't agree with how he said ABCD. And he was very enraged with how I responded to the assignment. And so instead of responding right away, or reacting right away, I should say, I called my dad because he got some history in the mental health field, and I know that Jay will. If I go off, I'm going off. I probably wouldn't have been in the class anymore if I would have reacted. Would have definitely dropped, and probably would have still been in college taking work. So, my dad, I tell him like, this is what he assigned us, and this is just crazy, and this is a gen ed class, and this, just going off, being Jay about it. And he's like, what did you say? And I told him what I said, and I told him, like, well, this is how I kept saying, this is how I meant it. I didn't, mean it like that. I sent it like this. So what I said, he took it this way. And my dad just straight up, as blunt as he can say it in a Gemini way, it was just like, fuck your intentions. What was your impact? And from that moment on, I have lived by that I will never apologize now at this point for what I meant. I'm not apologizing for what I meant, because for the most part, it's usually intention behind what I was doing, but people don't know that. And we have to give some leeway for that, is that people don't realize that they can't read your mind. They don't understand your intentions unless you blatantly say, these are my intentions right now, which we don't talk like that. We just go ahead and do these actions and hope for the best. So sometimes it's not received in the way we want it to be received. And we cannot, I'm not gonna say we cannot, it's not best practices for us to be defensive over the way someone else receives our message. And with me, I was not, my message in my brain and on paper, to me, it looked perfectly fine. These are the concerns of your class, sir. But for him, as a new teacher and realizing where he stood and standing his ground, that might have hurt in ways that he, had never experienced. So my dad saying that, really I've been sitting with those words my entire life ever since that, when it comes to your impact, that's what's most important in the eyes of other people. Not saying that your intentions aren't important, and not saying that your intentions aren't pure,
Right.
but in terms of communication and having other people in your circle and creating a community, we have to really be empathetic to the impact of our choices. So with that, let's talk about our community, since we're talking about community and apologies. When it comes to Black elders and apologizing, did your mother apologize to you when you were a kid? Did your grandma apologize to you when you were popped in church, when you've been sitting there for 6 hours and you're tired? Ali, you can elaborate on this, of course. I'm sure you've experienced or seen, because it still goes on, where when it comes to maybe the underdog or not understanding because we know obviously your grandma's intentions is not to scar you when you move around in church. We know that. But maybe their impact required more of an apology because of those traumatic experiences that we face as our community after that.
Yeah, I see this even on social media. My cousin not too long ago posted up a post talking about how Black communities, don't apologize, like upfront. Apology comes through action almost. Like they're like, hey, I'm gonna go get some ice cream. Do you want some? Like, that's the way of apologizing, is through an action. And a lot of times because of that, it takes away the expression. So if you have an adult who is, and a parent who is not expressing why they did what they did and apologizing, then how could you expect that child to do that as well? So then that child becomes an adult who does things through action and not express their words of apologizing of what they did. So it's like generational. It just makes me think generational curses, like that. It's a continuous. If you have an adult and they're not apologizing, they're just doing things based off of action, and that they're doing that with their child, then the child's gonna do that with their kid, and so on. So yeah, definitely.
Or my kids. Or my kids. That's the problem when it goes outside the family. Then we got an issue. But yeah, that like she said, that goes further than just you not apologizing. We really have to, as a whole, have those conversations about apologizing to the children and apologizing to your teenagers.
Yeah.
So not even just that, as we can teach them. I see this a lot with teenagers, especially. Their intentions and their actions are completely different. Like, completely. And everybody thinks it's toddlers. Toddlers get the bad rep, but it be teenagers who hormones are just all over the place. I was watching The Watcher the other day on Netflix, and it was a scene where she like calls her dad racist on the internet. And, like, literally blows this man's entire career up. He's a whole lawyer. It just like blows this man's entire life up. And she's just like, I was just so mad because I couldn't see my man.
Yeah.
You racist.
But
knowing my dad's not racist, but because teenagers, like I said, their actions and their impacts do not always correlate, just like us. And we don't even realize that our actions may not be communicating what we feel. So that really does have to be communicated through apologies, because I'm not saying that it's never going to happen. Like, still to this day, I'm sure I do things that my actions and my impact do not align. I mean, my actions, my impact don't align. But that's where the apology comes in. And that's where that communication piece comes in. So that later on, when other people when they start to justify, I feel like that also helps when they're feeling some type of way about me or feeling some type of way about what I said. They might be able to go back to that apology, like, oh, she did say that that's something that she struggles with. She did say that that this is what she's going through. So maybe I shouldn't take it that way,
Yeah.
So,
and it's not even just the teenagers' hormones though either. It's literally their brain. Like your brain development, it's just not all the way there until your 20s. So to expect certain things from teenagers, it's just an unfair expectation, just to put onto them. And yes, we want to hold them accountable because that's how they learn. However, shaming them, making them feel like bad people, that's just not it. That's not going to work. So definitely seeing that when it comes to apologizing within the Black community, across different realms, so within the church too, and even within it's this whole color wars. It's almost maybe the best way I can put the words to that, is that it's like, oh well, I'm a light-skinned woman and a dark-skinned woman said this to me, so now I'm going to say this about this dark-skinned woman, when it has absolutely nothing to do with that woman. But you've taken your trauma, and once again, you've taken the victim mentality, and now you're causing more pain to another woman, causing trauma in that world. So it's that's where that whole your mental health, your responsibility comes in, because yes, people may do something and people may say things, and you may take this because once again their intention may have been something else, but the impact on you was something else. So now you're upset, and that's where it's okay, I can see why I'm upset, and validating that for yourself and understanding that that is this situation, and that's not going to be every single situation.
Right. That also goes hand in hand with apologies too, because I see that along what they call it, the oppression wars, especially when it comes to the color. People are asking for apologies as a community, because there are evident things as a community that may have hurt. I've seen that a lot of times when it comes to I watch on TikTok maybe a dark-skinned woman making a video like, has this ever happened to you? And so then all the other dark-skinned women are in the comments like, yes, like this is something that really has hurt us as a whole. And instead of just someone taking that time and saying, I empathize with you, I'm sorry that someone who looks like me hurt you in that way. I hate that happened to you, and I hate that this is the standard, and we need to work on that. And it's, as someone who looks like someone who hurt you, and as someone who realizes my privilege, I'm going to take that opportunity to learn and to grow and to help this person. But instead it turns into, well, this is what has happened to me, and this is what dark-skinned women have done to me. So
victim mentality.
Instead it's not an apology. But sometimes we just have to take an apology as an apology. It's not your time. And then maybe later on you can make your video and say, as a light-skinned person, has this ever happened to you? And then all the other light-skinned people can say, this has happened to me. And then, on the other flip, they can say, I'm sorry for us making you feel that way. But instead it's the back and forth, and nothing ever gets resolved.
It's like problem after problem after problem after problem after problem. And where's the solutions?
Right.
So it should be problem solution.
Right. Problem solution. That's how we get through. We can't just keep throwing problems in with no solving anything. So talking about problem and solution, let's go ahead. I saw a post on Facebook not too long ago, and I actually shared it, and a lot of people were impacted from it. So it talks about how to apologize, and we're just going to go through that just to sum everything up in terms of this final segment on how we should apologize and how to make other people feel that your impact hurt them and it's going to change, but that our intentions are pure, and then we can figure out new solutions where our intentions are communicated correctly, and that however we made someone else feel on our journey to making ourselves feel better, it's understood. So here's the post. Many people don't know how to actually apologize to someone, so here's how. Apologizing to someone does two things. It allows someone to take responsibility, the impact of your actions, and it allows someone to know that you care about how they feel. Hashtag creates emotional intimacy. So many of us grew up in homes where we never saw true apologies, as what we talked about earlier. It's called repair in relationships. Instead, we witness people who shut down, went on like nothing happened, or sarcastically apologize, expecting quick forgiveness. A true apology brings people closer together and keeps relationships healthy. So, step one, directly state what you want to apologize about without defending or deflecting. So, saying, I'm sorry about the way I spoke to you last night. That wasn't okay. Step two, acknowledge your impact. I can imagine that was super painful and I've been on edge recently and I shouldn't have let that project onto you. Step three, state how you'll work on this in the future. Next time I'm stressed like that, I'm going to make sure that I don't lash out on you. I'm going to be more aware of my triggers. Step four, ask, do you want to talk about it? If the person says yes, then it's important to actively listen to their perspective, even though you're uncomfortable, and you will be uncomfortable. And you will be uncomfortable. Highlighted, underlined. Remember this, because this is the part that got me the most. You will be uncomfortable. And that's an apology for you. It makes you uncomfortable. At this point, do not interrupt or deny their perspective. Don't do it. Step five, ask, is there anything you could do to help out to heal this situation? And this is where accountability comes in, because you're not saying that I'm going to fix it for you. What you're saying is there any way that I can help in your own healing process? Is there anything I can say or do so that you can finish your healing process with something that traumatized you? This might be hold the person, affirm that you love them, reassurance, or any other practical requests. They also might not know how, and they might need time to reflect. So apologizing can be scary. It can be a blow at your ego at first, but apologizing and owning your role in a relationship ultimately brings you closer together. That was by Dr. Nicola Pera on Twitter. And everybody's been sharing that because, like we said, people don't really know how to apologize. And apologizing is, in fact, taking accountability for your own mental health, as well as setting those boundaries so that those apologies are less frequent and you're less uncomfortable in situations like this. So yeah, make sure that you're checking yourself, hashtag check yourself, and checking those around you and making sure that your environment is garnering this. And as a whole, we need to start making sure that the Black community as an environment is garnering this type of change where we're respecting everybody's voices and we're taking accountability for our own shit and we're staying out of everybody else's business and we're worried about and happy for our own personal growth and development so that we can take accountability and we will be strong mentally and period. So yeah. So where do you feel like accountability starts for you? Make sure that you're showing us that in the comments. Make sure that you're leaving comments down below. Make sure that you let us know how you feel about the episode as a whole and what you would like to hear about in further episodes. And until next time, bye-bye.